Today I have another amazing special guest. We have Jared Smith of Bob Gibson High School. Uh, I apologize. Bob Gibson, right?
Bob Jones.
Bob Jones. So sorry. Of Bob Jones High School Baseball.
Uh,
Jared, I appreciate you so much for coming on. And if you wouldn't mind, if you could give a little bit about a background about yourself and what you do.
yeah, my name's Jared Smith. I'm the head baseball coach here at Bob Jones High School. We're a 7A school in Madison, Alabama. We got about 1,900, 2,000 kids, 9 through 12. This is my, I believe, 14th year coaching. It's my 7th year at this high school. So started in Tuscaloosa, Alabama at a high school there. I was assistant for 5 years. I went to South Alabama to Dothan High School as a head coach for 2 years, and then now I'm in North Alabama. So kind of been all over the state of Alabama. Like I said, I've been coaching for 13, 14 years now. My dad's also a high school baseball coach in the state, so that's kind of how I guess got started or wanted to be a coach, a baseball coach. So he's been a coach for close to 20 years in the state of Alabama. We get to play, during the season, so that's cool too. So, but yeah, that's kind of some background. I teach math during the day, and then we have baseball kind of intertwined in that during the day, school day, and then after school we're able to do our stuff too. But yeah, so it's been a good career, about halfway through 25 years, I guess. So so far so good.
That's awesome. What kind of got you down the idea of you wanting to coach? That's not something that all players really necessarily try and go to right after a career and everything like that. What kind of brought you down that path of wanting to do what you do?
Yeah, well, first, my career it ended pretty quickly. I was a decent high school player, but I knew early on I was undersized in college baseball, big time being a big time college. That wasn't going to be in the card. So, but I wanted to be around the game. I always loved the game, or was always interested in all the different aspects and parts of it. So I wanted to stay in baseball. I just didn't know how at the time. And then, like I said, my dad was a coach, so probably 10th or 11th grade. I really liked math, but then I went to like an engineering, like thing at a college, and I hated it. I was like, this is boring. Nothing against those guys. I just didn't want to do that the rest of my life. So then I decided, well, I'll teach math and, be able to do that, which I love numbers, and then I can still coach baseball. And, at the time, really, though, I played basketball in high school too, surprisingly. So I wanted to really coach baseball or basketball, and it was kind of funny how it worked out. Had a job lined up out of college. I was going to be a basketball assistant and then a football assistant, because you basically have to do football in Alabama if you're going to, start out coaching. So you have to do that whether you want to or not, basically. So anyway, I was going to do basketball, and that fell through at the last minute. And funny how things happen. And then got another job, and they needed a baseball assistant, so I went that route. And it's been awesome ever since. So yeah, but I was almost, I guess, a basketball coach. I don't know if that'd have been a good one, but I almost went that route for sure.
That is crazy how some things turn out. I've had, like I was mentioning, had Chad on. He actually got approached. It was either him or his dad in the local post office. They approached them, just want to work with some guys like grandkids or something like that. And that's how
Really?
he got started. Another gentleman, John Lampros of 2-5
Yeah.
Baseball, he actually got started. He posted an ad on Craigslist. And that
Wow.
was like one of his first guys. So like just the fact that you almost actually were doing basketball and football, not even
Yeah.
entering the baseball. That to me is the special part about what a lot of us have in common, like why we do it,
Yeah.
but how we get there is so different and so crazy, and I absolutely love it. If you wouldn't mind running into how I came across your Twitter was actually a video of you guys practicing with how you set
Yeah.
up your practice in the cage. Really enticed me. I love group work. I love trying to put together a practice plan and try and be the most efficient with doing that kind of stuff. If you wouldn't mind just kind of running through the practice that you guys were doing there and normal other
Yeah.
practices that you guys do, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. As I was telling you before we began the podcast, we're limited within our rules, in the state of Alabama that everyone is. Now, our rules are we get 2 hours per week for 10 weeks in the fall. So, well, we have 60 players, 9 through 12. We have 3 teams of varsity, JV, and freshmen. And when you start working with one kid, the clock starts ticking. So we had to be real strategic on, as a coaching staff, how are we going to best use 2 hours per week. And we decide, do we want to go scrimmage for 2 hours? Well, that's 60 guys. You may get 2 or 3 at bats. Maybe if we've got 2 fields, and we didn't really have the coaches to do that, and we probably didn't have we didn't think the kids were going to get enough reps to be worth it in the fall. So we made some decision. Our coaching staff met, and we said, let's do all 60 of those guys. And this rule was new to Alabama about 3 years ago. So it's kind of trial and error for everybody in the state. There's not really, you call somebody and see what they do. Everyone does something different. And, everybody's just trying to figure out the best way to use 2 hours, because that's not a lot of time in a whole week. So anyway, so we decided, let's put them through some stations, some skill work, because in the fall we try to kill the weight room, bat speed training, throwing as hard as we can throw, hitting as hard as we can hit, speed training. I mean, all of that stuff we develop in the fall, where in the spring we can just kind of maintain that and hopefully, carry over what we did into the season and that kind of thing. So anyway, long story short, that's kind of how it came about. So we got together, and so we divide our kids into 4 groups. We have 2 infield groups, 2 outfield groups, primarily a varsity group and a JV freshman group in each group. If they're a dual guy, we kind of swap them, every other week or so. And then we just came up with what we thought was important. So we developed 4 stations. So we have we're blessed with an indoor hitting facility, an outdoor hitting facility. We also have a turf infield and on our regular field. So we decided to do a indoor hitting station. We have 4 cages there, an outdoor hitting station with 4 cages, and then put 2 defensive stations on the game field, which we did the infield on the turf, artificial turf, and the outfield in the outfield. So we divide them into 4, anywhere from 12 to 14, 15 guys, depending on how many kids are there that day. If they, you have kids with sickness or appointments or whatever. And we have 4 coaches we only have 4, so you can do this, hopefully some high school coaches will listen to this. We only have 4 coaches in the fall. 1 coaches football, and we're kind of shorthanded. So we do it with 4 coaches. I run the inside hitting. Our freshman coach runs the outside hitting. Coach Caleb Rogers runs our infield, and then our pitching coach Hunter Smothers runs the outfield. So we have those 4 stations, and then we just divided those up into what we wanted to accomplish, in whatever aspect. So the outdoor cage is pretty simple. There wasn't a video on that, but we use our axe bats and our driveline, bat speed program. So the outdoor cages, we have 4 cages, and we'll put 3 kids in a cage, and they're doing, whatever drills you want to do with those, but, hook 'em drill or step backs or walking, or not walking windups, walking and hit the ball, all those different drills in the outdoor cages, but with the overload bat, the underload bat, regular bat, long bat, short bat. So we use all those axe bats, the driveline, in the axe bat program, that they use. And so those kids go through those stations. It's a 30-minute station for each station. So we have the 4 stations, but they do 2 a day. So 2 on Monday and 2 on Wednesday. So we do an hour on Monday, an hour on Wednesday, because we lift after that. So we don't want to, do 2 hours and then lift. So we do an hour and then lift. So it's a 30-minute station. So they'll do that driveline axe bat program for about 30 minutes once a week. And then when they finish that station, they go to infield or outfield defense. So our infield defense, we're blessed. We have a fungo man, and we have a hack attack. We have 2 hack attacks. We use 1 inside. We use 1 outside. We have a spin ball that we added this year. So we have a lot of resources other than coaches, because we're short on coaches, but the machines, honestly, are another coach, because we can use a pitcher only or a injured kid to feed the machine. We'll use a fungo man on the outfield usually, and we'll use a hack attack and 1 coach on the infield. And they're just going through all the drills and different, Kai Correa, I know you've probably heard of him, the big defensive guy. I think he's with the Giants now, and he's awesome. And, we've got all his, what this hack attack needs to be on to work on a backspin ground ball or a top spin ground ball or a hook ball righty or a hook ball lefty. So our guy has all those, and he's just running through those different balls. And our kids hate it because the ball's top spinning like crazy. They want them all backspin perfectly every time. Well, Kai's went through those numbers and said, that's not realistic. So you're getting this many balls that are top spun. And I have a really good third baseman going to be an SEC guy. And the first day he said, Coach, I don't get those balls. And I said, well, I'm going to show you what Kai Correa says that the major league guys get. So I show him, and he's like, well, Okay, I guess he thought he was only getting these perfect balls, and that's how he wanted to train. And we're totally against that in terms of training easy. We try to, I mean, not beat them down, but we want them to be pushed and fail in practice so the games are easier in whatever we're doing. So I mean, it's some funky spin on these balls, and our guys coaching them up on that. So that's the infield station, and then our outfield the same deal. I mean, they're working on every possible spin a spun ball, however high our coach can throw it and however far, and ground balls and all that. So that's a good 30-minute station each, and they'll do one defense and one offense. Now, the one that's most popular on Twitter and the one you saw is probably our infield state or our indoor hitting station, which I do, and that, of course that's my favorite. I love hitting. So we run 4 stations there. We have a hack attack. We do velo work nearly every day that we hit, and once again, our kids hate that. We'll have it on. I turn it up as high as it'll go and not hit somebody, So we have it 90 plus nearly every day we hit year round. If we're hitting, it's 90 plus off the hack attack. So we got the cage one. We have a Rapsodo hitting, so we have that. We have our hack attack set up on 90 miles an hour. We'll move the plate up or back. Depending on what we're trying to accomplish, if we want to increase the speed. We've found for us, maybe some other coaches can chime in at some point. If we turn it over about 85, 86, it'll start getting a little crazy, and our kids get a little gun shy in there, so we don't get as good of a rep. But we found if we put it at 85, it'll be pretty consistent. So we've just moved the plate up to 51 feet, typically, which represents about 92, 93 on the chart. So that's what we typically train at. But our kids know, and like I said, it takes a while for them to understand because they're used to being so successful. They're not used to going in there and hitting 1 out of 5 balls off a machine. They think they should hit everyone hard, which is not realistic if you're training, in my mind, how you should train. So we have the Rapsodo set up on that. You got to hit a ball 92 plus to get on the board. We have a whiteboard, and kids run it themselves. They ride it if they hit over 92. If they don't, they don't. And then I'll pull that data. I was pulling some today of all our Rapsodo data for all 60 of our guys. Max exit velo, average exit velo, that kind of stuff. So that's cage one. Cage two, we have a spin ball this year, one of the spin ball machines with the iPad. I don't know if you've seen one of those in person, but they're incredible. Because we were used to with a hack attack, you set it on one pitch and you basically have to, let that go, or hey, it's curveball, and then I change it for however long. And then we got smart last year, or we thought we were smart, and we put 2 machines I saw on Twitter right beside each other, and my guy would hold up a ball, which is great, but they know the right machine's a fastball and second left machine's a curveball, so they can figure that out. Now, it's not easy, but the spin ball, it will make those adjustments instantly. I'll tell you, and they're expensive. But if I left somewhere, new job, and had nothing, I would buy that first. I mean, I don't know how many people can buy one, but it's incredible because you can set it on whatever pitcher you want from 55 miles an hour to 95, I think. And then you can pick up to like 10 preloaded pitches. Of course, we use fastball, slider, curve, and changeup primarily, but it has, it has knuckleball, whatever. I mean, cutters, all this kind of stuff, 4-seam, fastball, 2-seam, all the different pitches you want. We usually do 2 to 3, and it will change instantly within 5 seconds. And we typically do 2-strike approach out of it. We were pretty bad with 2 strikes last year, and we're not an old school choke up and hit a ground ball to second. That's not our philosophy, but we're also struck out too many times compared to what we struck out when we were really successful a couple years ago. And then I compared to successful colleges and what they did, and their strikeout rates, and still able to hit for power and those kind of things. So anyway, we do mostly 2-strike on that, but those machines, that would be my number one rate. If you can afford it in a training facility or high school, I mean, it's incredible. The kids hate it because, once again, it's throwing fastball, curveball, changeup, and they don't know what's coming, and you can't tell. So you're getting live at bats every day, which everybody wants to do, but nobody can throw a pitcher out there every day because you just can't do that. You don't have arms to do that. So our kids are getting, we feel like, live at bats daily, and we just got this machine this year, and I think it's going to pay huge dividends for us in the long run. So that's our cage 2. Cage 3 and 4, they kind of those 2 stay the same weekly. We just adjust. Is it a righty or lefty? We move our machine whichever way. We'll adjust the height of the machine. We have some tall poles and the regular poles, so we adjust the angle that's coming down based off the pitcher. If you have a 5'9" guy or 6'6" guy, So we adjust those on the machine. But that pretty much stays, constant weekly. Just the velocity changes. Like next week, maybe a slow lefty, 80 miles an hour, 75 with a changeup, and then next week maybe 95 righty off the spin ball. So those, but the same idea. The third and fourth cages, we kind of rotate that around. We typically always have the blast sensors, and I would recommend everybody. That's a cheap way to get in. We only have two sensors, so and I think two's good if you're going to have one coach doing it. Some schools have every kid with a sensor. We just don't do that because it would be great, I guess, but it's slightly expensive if you bought everyone a sensor, and then you're depending on the kids a lot to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, and they're 15 to 18 years old. So I like to kind of, I guess, manage it a little better than that. So we put it on their bat, and we have the iPad there, and I have my coach account, and they know how to click on their name. And they know how to click on their bat and the sensor they're using, and that data just rolling. And once I coach it up for a week or so, I can kind of bounce around in the cages, and they know how to flip it. And they know, I mean, we look at the main three, of course, plane, connection, and rotation scores, and those kids know now. I mean, at the beginning, we talk about what those are and what increases or decreases those different scores. And, of course, there's a lot of data that goes into each score. But our kids now know which one to click on. If my plane score is bad, we call it triple green if you're familiar with blast. If you're hitting, out of 20-80 scale, 60 to 80 is green, 40 to 60 is yellow, below that's red. And our guys' goal is to get triple green on those compared to everybody in the country who's hit with a blast. So they know when they're getting in yellow or red in one, they'll click on it and see, is it bat speed, is it my plane score, is it my connection score, or what am I, pre-connection, or what may it be. So that's our third cage most always. Now, sometimes we look at all the categories. Sometimes we just look at something specific. Like last week, we only did bat speed, and I only had bat speed on it. And I said, I want you to swing as hard as you humanly possibly can, swing the bat. And if you start to drop, if you drop twice in bat speed, you're done, next guy up. So that kind of coaches itself. And then the fourth cage, that rotates as well. Usually that's an exit velocity cage, and we've got a little small board that we bought, I think, from Pocket Radar. We have a Pocket Radar. We have 3 of those, but we just take one in there. We hook it to the board. We put the radar on constant, continuous reading mode, and those kids just hit, and they see their score. And I can be 3 cages over and see it. I don't have to hold the radar gun, and they do that typically. That's pretty typical day in the fall. And then we'll measure the exit velo and count it as, their records and all that, probably once every 3 weeks. We don't do it weekly. So like yesterday, it didn't count for them, but they still did it. So a kid said, I hit 90, coach, does that count? I said, no, because we didn't measure everybody. So, but if everybody gets measured, we'll count it, and I'll write them all down, or a kid will write them down, and we'll input it into our database and kind of go from there. So that's kind of the typical in the fall. In the spring, the inside, I'll say, the inside cages are basically going to be the same format if we're forced inside. But of course, in a regular practice, you get into the team stuff where bunt defenses, first and third, rundowns, or BP on the field, and those kind of things. But that's a good rundown of our fall. Before I move into in season or stuff like that, I'll let you kind of chime in. I know I talked for a while, but that's kind of how we run it. It's twice a week for an hour, but you can do it with limited coaches. And and we didn't, and everybody, every time I tweet something, people say, oh, y'all got so much money, it must be nice. Well, we didn't start with all this stuff. I've been here 7 years, and we didn't have any of this. We had old pitching machines that I've sold, but I bought a pitching machine the first year, and I bought a pitching machine the next year, and I bought a Rapsodo the next year, a Rapsodo pitching, then Rapsodo hitting. You got to start somewhere. If that's a $100 blast sensor, I mean, that's what you start with, and you just keep working. Or a pocket radar you can get for a couple $100. So, people want to joke on how much stuff we have, but, it didn't start that way. I didn't come into this job and had all this equipment. We just buy a little bit every year, and now we've got so much tech into my office, it's starting to overrun the office. So we're going to have to build a tech closet, which is a great problem to have. But I would just tell anybody to start wherever you can, for sure.
No, I love every second of it. So far, we have one question in the chat. In your quick rundown, I've written down about 4 or 5 more questions. So I'm going to
Yeah.
go to the chat question really quick. We are being asked, how many of your players are multi-sport athletes? A lot of coaches are starting to want guys to specialize in one sport once they get to high school. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to give the politically correct coaching answer on this, probably, where, you see all these football coaches, and I love football. I coach football. I love going to the games. Our team's about to be in the playoff. But you see all these posts every year around the draft time that these guys played, these guys were multi sport and they're drafted. Well, they're multi-sport because they're the best athlete in the school, and they're drafted, because they're the best athlete around, so they play multi-sport. I'm not a huge believer that because you play multi-sports, it makes you a better athlete. I think typically at the high school level. Now, my son, when he's 5 years old, I want him playing everything. But I think once you get to about the 10th grade, I think kids need to start picking if they're only good at one sport, we need to make some. I don't think playing another sport makes you better if you're not very good at either one of them personally. Now, we had a guy who went to Alabama to play baseball that was really good at baseball, really good at football. We had another guy the same way. So a guy at Mississippi State now that's playing baseball that played both. So I think it takes a special athlete. I don't think just because you play two sports that benefits you once you get past the 10th grade personally. Now, I think it's great to be athletic before then. But, I hear a lot of college coaches, oh, we love multi-sport athletes. But you also love the guy that throws 94 miles an hour if he just plays baseball. You really don't care. So I think it depends on the need of the player. Some players need to train. We had a football player here that played baseball, went on to Ole Miss my first year. He played both sports. He was a better football player, and he was splitting time with both. Well, when he missed our whole fall and came back, he realized he got passed, and he made the decision to play football only, which was the right decision for him. He was a junior. Splitting time was hurting him at football and baseball. So I think number one, at the 10th, 11th, 12th grade level, it takes a superb athlete at our level of competition. At small schools, it's different, of course, but at ours, it's very tough, first off. And I don't think, like I said, just automatically because you go play, if I take my whole team and we play football, I don't know if they're going to become all better baseball players personally. They may be tougher, and there's some good aspects to that too. Now, that all being said, we only have we have one varsity guy that plays football. We have 2 freshmen that play basketball, and this is out of 60 guys. So we only have currently 3 guys in our entire program that play multi-sports. Now, once again, that's not because we don't encourage it or anything like that. It's just at our level, the amount of time we're putting in the off season, as well as the football and the basketball program, it's so difficult once you get to high school at our level to go from one sport to one sport, just playing the game. You never get to train. You never have an off season. So our football guy, for example, he's in season weight training now, and he's in season football. Well, when football ends, it's nearly going to be baseball. He's going to have about 4 to 6 weeks where he's off season, but he really needs a break because he just played football for 12 weeks. So it's so tough. Basketball, football guys, they overlap. They never get to train. They only get to do the games, and I just think that takes a superb athlete to do that. So, I'm not saying it can't be done, and I'm not an anti-sport guy at all. I love the best guys we've ever had were multi-sport guys. But I think they were multi-sport guys because they were the best guys we ever had, and they were all-state football, all-state baseball. They could have played on the basketball team if they wanted to. So the correlation and causation there, I'm not sure what does the dual sport cause them to be a great baseball player, or they're just a great baseball player that can play another sport. So, I kind of went around that answer, but we don't have many. We've had as many as 5 or 6 guys probably on the varsity, and they're usually our best baseball players too, but they're really good football players, and they're just athletes. I think it depends on the kid if it's the best for them. Like I said, my kid's going to play multi-sports if he wants to until he's in high school. I think probably 10th grade year. That's my personal opinion when it gets where you need to make a decision because you're missing out. You know how the training is now in the off season for every sport, the weight training, the skill development. You just don't have time to do that because summer, we have summer ball, basketball has summer ball, football has 7-on-7. So you're just in competition mode year round, and I just don't think that's best for most kids. Some kids, yes, but I think it's a lot fewer than most people think.
I think that's an amazing answer because, like you said, what comes first? Is it being super athletic or is it the fact that you were a multi athlete? I think a
Yeah,
lot of the people that hang on to the idea that you have to be a two sport athlete are the same ones that aren't really looking into the idea of why there were so many multi-sport athletes back in the day is the off-season
yeah,
training wasn't as
spot on.
valued as much. And so if you weren't playing a sport, you're just kind of hanging out, hanging around. Whereas now, if you're not playing like football and you're a baseball player, like most of them are training, most of them are lifting, most of
Yeah,
them are hitting. And yes, they're not in season doing a sport, but they're training like they are. They're still putting in the effort and the value of if they were. And so I think that's the little misconstrued sometimes of some people.
yeah. I mean, you hit. I mean, that was perfect. The way used to, like you said, you just played and then you sat at home if you didn't. There was no training, and now everybody has figured out we got to train. That's why if you look back, compare athletes from generation to generation, it's just incredible. You know what's going on. And how strong athletes are, how hard they throw and hit, and football. I mean, same deal, and basketball, the same deal. So yeah, I think the game, the trainings change, and then also I think the size of the school. Once again, like my dad's at a 3A school, and they're really good, but most of their baseball kids play basketball and football, and if they don't play, they don't have this going on because my dad's got 5 or 6 kids. Well, he can't run, what we're doing, so he really wants them to play, so they're doing something other than just sitting around because he's coaching football and basketball and baseball anyway. So all the coaches are coaching other sports, so you might as well play the other sports. So I think it really depends on size of school, need of the player. I mean, if the player weighs 112 pounds and can't squat his body weight, I mean, you probably need to get in the weight room. You may not even need to play baseball or football or basketball. You probably need to get stronger first, so you can, those skills will help you. So, but yeah, I think you added on perfectly why the game is kind of changing the training, and I think the life of the dual sport athlete it's going to keep dwindling. And all these college coaches once again say they love dual sport athletes. Well, how many college coaches let their kids play another sport in college? Like, why is that? Like, you want us to do it, but you say when they get to you, I mean, there's probably, I mean, I know none. I mean, that do that. There may be some, but you don't see football, baseball but we're training the same as they're training. So that's why we feel like, it's not required. Yeah, we love it like you love it, but you don't love it when they're missing your stuff, and the football coaches don't love it when they're missing theirs. So that's where you got to kind of compromise. But we will never, we'll work with every kid. And like I said, our best guys, we've got 2 playing at Alabama now that played football and baseball. We've got 1 at Mississippi State, so that played both. So we've got our best guys did play both sports. So, but what caused that? That's where somebody else has got to figure that out.
I love it. I love it. To go on, another question that I had, the data that you guys are bringing in with the low amount of coaches resources that you guys do have, how are you guys collecting that data? You said you guys do it on a 3-week basis. Do you guys have one coach kind of just manning all screens and just type it into a Google sheet? Are you guys looking back at the Rapsodo and looking back at the cloud? How are you guys going about and doing all of your data collecting?
Yeah, collecting, number one, exit velo is easy. I mean, I just print out a spreadsheet, and whichever coach is around can collect that. They collect it all. I enter that into a Google sheet that just keeps up. I mean, I'm a big numbers guy. I have every exit velocity we have from my first day here till now, so I can compare year to year. Did we increase, decrease? I have every max out from my first day here until now. And, we're comparing our guys now, and we're hitting harder than we did in 2019 when we made the finals. Does that mean we're going to be a better team? No, but we're where we need to be as far as, that metric's concerned. I mean, our probably 12th weakest guy we were looking at the other day, senior, would be our strongest guy our first year. It's just how the game is, in 6-7 years of development with our guys, and that's probably anywhere. But we keep all those numbers. But exit velo, you need a coach with a clipboard and enter it in a Google sheet. That's pretty simple. I just keep clicking over dates, and then we can see their PRs and all that kind of stuff. And just every coach Every team probably has a coach on the staff that's good with numbers, I imagine, or good with sheets and can enter that in. If that's not your forte, delegate it. I love numbers, so I enter all the data for that and for our max outs and our exit velocity and throwing velocity. Throwing velocity, our pitching coach, we do that during school. So if somebody's wondering what about our throwing? We're allowed to throw during a PE block. So we throw during the school Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the fall. So we do that as well. Our drive line throwing program with plyometric balls and all that kind of stuff. Our pitching coach, we have 4 cages and we have 4 radar guns. We gather if we're doing pull down data on Friday. We'll gather that data, 4 clipboards, 3 coaches, and a PO or a manager. They give that to our pitching coach. He enters it. He's great with that kind of stuff and numbers, same as me in terms of how he enters it. He shoots it out to our kid in the group me. Our kids know all the time where they stand, 1 to 60. That's what I would recommend too. Show the kids where they stand. They're not surprised they're sitting on the bench when they're hitting 62 miles an hour as a senior and they're throwing 72. They can see where they compare. And there's other aspects to the game, of course. But gather the data, clipboard, spreadsheet, enter it in there, enter it in as you get it. I would say measure every 2 to 3 weeks. I think more than that gets too in the fall. More than that, kids lose motivation. Less than that, I think it's too quick for them to show any improvements. So we do that with that. The blast data, it just goes into the cloud, if you, have the app or whatever. So they're all on mine. It goes into the cloud. Well, today I just pulled all the blast data, and now I can print out reports and whatever we're looking at, their average plane score, connection score, rotation score. I can pull bat speed. I'll create goals that, or Blast has already created goals. I'll print those out. All of our guys compared, so they know what to work on next time. But you don't have to gather any data there other than putting the sensor. Now you have to go into the app, and Blast is great about walking you through how to pull the data. I actually called him today because I had an issue with one kid's swing didn't upload. But you just pull that data, and you can tell who's your best guys in playing, connection, rotation, or bat speed, or whatever. Rapsodo, same deal. It goes into the cloud. You just upload the iPad daily to the cloud after we hit. Today I was working on pulling reports with that, which, all the tech stuff, Blast and Rapsodo especially, it depends on how deep in the weeds you want to get. There's so much stuff you can get when you print a report. It's incredible. So I would recommend if you're starting out, when I started out, I picked 1 or 2 things, and that's all I looked at. And then, maybe bat speed. That's probably what I look at first. And then go from there. And then Rapsodo, I would look at average exit velocity, maybe distance. Max exit velocity is sometimes skewed because I'll hit one ball hard, out of 20. So I don't use that a lot. But then that data all pulls. You can print individual reports that shows where they hit the ball, their heat zones or cold zones, all that kind of stuff. And really how much information you want to give to the kids. We try to pick certain things to give to them at certain times instead of print out Rapsodo reports 3 or 4 pages. They'll probably look at it and look it over, and there's probably going to be 2% of the kids that really are going to dive into it like we are. So I just find certain things. The other day I gave them something about 2-strike only. Their 2-strike report from last season, and I just gave them that. Their average OPS and their strikeout percentage in season last year on any level they played at. And I told them, I've got 60 kids. I don't have time to go through every one of these. Here's yours. Come talk to me about what you see. Now, but I've already looked at them. I just haven't went through every kid and said, here's what you need to do. But here's your average. Here's our goal. I also put our 3 best guys from last year. We had an All-American. They were all-state. Here are their numbers so they can see somebody that they know, not, hey, our goal is 250 or 350 or our strikeout percentage 30%. They can look at the best hitter we've ever had. Here's what he did. Okay, well, now I have a benchmark of what I'm trying to accomplish or get to, and it's much more real to those guys in that aspect. So you don't need many coaches. I mean, I'll tell you, we use kids all the time. There's always somebody injured in every program that I've ever been at who's just sitting around anyways. Give them a clipboard and a pencil and a radar gun. If you have a manager, we have one manager. He's outstanding. He does all of our tech work. He's going to go into college and be a great manager. He sets it all up a lot of the time. So you can do it. You got to put some stuff on your kids. They know how to set it up. They set up the stations because all my other coaches are teaching until 3:30, and we start at 4 o'clock in the fall. So they know when the bell rings at 3:27, change, get them all set up. They set up all the stations. So you put that on them, have your clipboards printed out, be prepared and organized. I send out in the group me every Monday and Wednesday our plan for the day. in terms of the cages and where they go, what they need set up, and our kids do it. And if they don't do it, we address that. But they're pretty good about getting what we need set up. But the data collection, get your radar gun, start with that. That can give you exit velo, throw in velo, Rapsodo, and blast if you get into that. There's nothing to enter. It just prints it out now, or inputs it. Now, on all this, now what I do too, I'll give a shout out to, there's this company called Skill Shark. They're a pretty small company. They're out of Canada, I think, because that's where I send the payment. But I think it's $300 for us for 75 kids subscription a year. So I pay $300 for our baseball. But you can set up and however you want to, and it scores the kids, not just an average. Like we do max out, throw in velo, exit velocity, and speed. That's the 4 categories we've determined that we think are most important. Everybody has what they think is important in their program. Well, it ranks them. You enter all their scores on max out day, which we, like I said, we do all. I only enter that every 9 weeks. All the data in the program because we only max out every 9 weeks. But it will rank them from 1 to 60 in every category for us, or 1 to 20 if you have 20 kids. And it combines those 4 and their system, how they figure out the numbers. It's not just 1, 2, 3, and they average those up. It's based off how close your number is to the average and then how far you are from like the minimum and maximum. Like it's the math's over my head a little bit. I'm a math guy. But it's a lot better than just going, well, he's the first guy here and the first guy, and it figures all that out. Because a guy may be very fast, but, and that may skew the data if you don't use it like this. And then we rank our kids 1 to 60. I send it out. And right now we have 26 varsity players, and 25 of those are top 25. So it confirms what we thought from a game standpoint anyways when we made cuts and decisions. There's one kid on the JV. His metrics should be on varsity, which I told this kid that if you look in the data, but he hasn't done it in a game yet. So we're waiting on him to do that. But, it's great for coaches, especially if you're making tough decisions on to cut or keep a kid or varsity JV freshman. I would highly recommend that. It's like I said, $300. You enter what you want to enter and it will rank them. You can print individual reports. So I print an individual report for every kid twice a fall, and it tells you their average, or their metric, whatever their exit velo is, 90. It tells you the program average. Let's say it's 88. It tells you their rank from 1 to 60, or how many ever kids you have in all categories. I give it to them. We go over it for about 2 to 5 minutes, talk about what they need to improve on the most, and then we kind of go from there. So I think that, I'll give another shout out to them. Skill Shark. You can Google it and find it, but it's just basically a Google sheet on crack, that does all this stuff for you, other than just entering it in, and then you trying to calculate, all this data. So that's outstanding. We love it.
Well, shoot, they just might have got another client with that referral. You might need to get your own code, because I've got a leaderboard right over here that I work with about 20 of guys on my own. It has exit velocity average max, distance average max, bat speed average max, rotational acceleration average and max, and I do that every week where I update the leaderboard so that way the guys can see themselves how much they increased from last week, how much they've increased from week 1, and after every 6 weeks I reward a winner, and they get a free piece of my merch.
Nice.
They just might got another new client with that little shout out that you just did.
Well, tell him I sent you, and then he'll do you a trial and walk you through it, because it's a little overwhelming at first. But let's say you want to do just the offensive, ranking system. So you would put in those categories, exit velo, average, all the things you just said, and it's going to rank them instead of you. I've got a whiteboard just like you, and there's time for that too. But it's going to rank them in all of those. So right now it would spit out your best hitter. Instead of you looking at the board and saying, well, this guy was our top guy here, this guy was top here, it's going to rank them from 1 to 20, and it puts them in green, yellow, and red based off where they stand, and you can print that off. And if you leave it on the whiteboard, they may look at it and see, I think I'm hitting less than these guys, but you print it out and it says, man, you're 20 out of 20. Like, we got to do something. You got to move up the ladder. And I always tell our kids, are you passing anybody? You rank 20th now. Where are you going to rank in 6 weeks? So is it still 20? Is it 15? And we reward those guys. So, call that guy up, and you can enter any data you want to. We, like I said, that's the four we do. We do, like I said, a hitting, a pitching, a lifting, and a speed metric. But you can put as many as you want to, and it's based off how many kids you have. I think what you pay. But he'll do a trial with you. We saw him at ABCA and when in Dallas. Yeah, it was in Dallas a couple of years ago. I think was it in Dallas. Anyway, ABCA a couple of years ago. We walked by and we loved the system because it would just took the sheet or what we were trying to figure out and what you're trying to figure out. It took it and made it easier for us, and it made the numbers easier for the kids to see. And we talked to the guy about it, and he was great about it, and he was really, I think, trying to get it going. I think his name's Neil, and he was trying to get it going and all that. And we started using it, and like I said, we only use it probably 2 to 3 times a year. You would use it more because you're just looking at that offense. You could do it every 2 weeks, whenever. But I do it when we max out. When I do that. But yeah, give it a shot, man. I think you'll enjoy it, and I think once you figure it out, I just love. I'm a numbers guy, man, and I love how it calculates it, and like I said, it figures out where you stand, and they'll get a rating based off how far. I forgot, he told me how he does it, but it's something off the average. I think it's like a nominal scoring system. Instead of just ranking 1 to 60, 1 to 60, 1 to 60, they get actual score. It may be 58.2, which is something based off the average and the min and the max, and he'll explain that to you. But I just know it spits them out where I want them and easy to see for the kids.
Hey, there we go. That's what we're looking for, baby, especially in this world when you're rocking with 60 guys. You only got so much time to really be doing stuff. I've got a few more questions they just keep coming up. The more you chat, the more I get intrigued, and so I'm really excited. I don't know when. I know we've scheduled it for a 90-minute session. I don't know what you have after, but we might have to do a part 2 or something. I don't know, because I've got a full list right here.
I know. I started talking. I looked. It's 3 o'clock. I'm good until about probably 3:45. I should be good until then. So we'll see. I got a hitting lesson at at 4 o'clock. So I think I'm good to about 3:45. So let's keep rolling,
go, baby. So my next question, you've brought up some amazing things and little, like, not trigger words, but words that I love to hear. You mentioned the ownership of players knowing how to set up drills, knowing how to go through, set up the blast motion on their own. That's something that is normal, I don't think, at the high school level unless it's shown and instilled in them into that type of program. It takes a special type of culture for coaches and also older players to be able to kind of inflict that upon. How have you guys been able to get that type of culture in your guys' program to know that, hey, we've got one coach manning what would be like 15 kids, but we know that one kid over there, every single time they come up to blast motion, we know that they're doing it the right way. How have you guys gone about and been able to do that?
Yeah, first off, of course, it takes time to develop any culture, what you find important and what you want to develop. And so it's taken time, number one. But number two, we're all about being on time and doing what we need to do. So our kids, kind of take our coaches' personalities on in terms of we got to work. And I like to start on time, get out on time. So let's get it ready to go. They know what we want set up. And now they don't always do it. They're kids, and sometimes they have to be redirected and reminded to get it set up. But I think the real key to me is to develop stations that the kids want to do well at and they want to compete at, whether a coach is standing over them. So I don't ever even go to the Rapsodo station ever anymore because I can pull that data after. Is it the funnest station to probably watch? Probably. But there's no point in me standing there because all that data is going online. We have a big TV. We bought a TV. We put it on the wall. I can see the Rapsodo from 3 cages over, number one. Number two, our kids know if they hit 92, they write it on a board. Number three, they want to hit the ball hard and they want to compete with their guys. If you just put a T over there, no Rapsodo, no pitching machine, they're going to take 75% hacks. We all know that, unless they're a special athlete who really wants to always work well. They're 15 years old, 16, 17. They're not going to work their tail off without an adult or a coach there most of the time. But if you put the Rapsodo on or you put the radar gun on, if you don't compete during that, you don't have any competitive fire. So I think number one, creating drills that will coach themselves The blast sensor, it does take a little bit to show them how to do it. But once again, once they know how to click on the name and get it there, that's all you need to know. And then after that, they know what's good score, what's a bad score. Green's good, yellow's average, red's bad. They know to click on it and what's good. Now, they don't know it all. Sometimes a kid will say, Coach, why is my connection score still bad? I did this, and we'll make a tweak. But they usually coach their self on that as well once you get it rolling. And I've got freshmen who know how to click it, change it. They don't even need me anymore. Now, it took us 2 or 3 weeks to get to that point, but I just bounce around. I can see the radar gun board from wherever I'm at. The other day we had a guy hitting 74 that I know normally hits 88. I said, what's the problem? Are you hurt? Are you not working? So you can see those things. And honestly, that station, I firmly believe, now they would screw around some, but if I left the indoor cages and went outside and no coach was in there and I put somebody on the timer, we would get better work than a lot of people, even with coaches, because it's managing itself instead of just saying, let's take 30 cuts off a tee, oppo, and then they're like, oh, God. And we've done that, and it's like, what do we get out of that? And even when we started this, we were doing too many cuts off of a tee, or we were doing longer sessions, and the kids just tried to get through it. Like, I just need to get to the 12th cut or whatever. So we've cut that down. But I say, number one, make stations with limited coaches, make stations the kids can manager, put a clipboard and a radar gun. You don't even have to be there. I promise you they will try to hit it as hard as they can if that's a goal of yours. They'll write it down. You'll get the data later. Now, I will say defense is a little tougher. I think defense, you pretty much have to have a coach to manage because, if you ask every kid, I think most kids love to hit. Kids are always hitting at our facility. You rarely see kids taking ground balls. I mean, they do it, but it's not near as prevalent as the offensive side of the game. So I would say I would put a coach with defense always. I just think that's a spot they will slack off of, and it's a lot tougher to manage. I hope they create something where it will create all this data off the ground balls and when, some kind of machine, which that would be awesome, but that doesn't exist as far as I know of yet. But so, yeah, I would say just create stations that the kids compete on. If you're not going to be there, tell them I want a winner. I want to know, the other day on our bat speed, I said, I want to know your highest bat speed after the station. I didn't stand over there. I went and asked. They have to tell me they're either embarrassed because they didn't swing it hard or, they did well and they're excited about it. But they're going to, and you can tell the kids, well, I think it was 6. Well, you're only here 10 minutes. You should know what you hit. So yeah, I would make stations that are competitive, kids love to do, that are measurable. If you do those 3 things, man, I think most of the time they'll coach themselves.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think that also ties into needing a really good atmosphere and one that is understanding of, you mentioned it way at the beginning, the failure aspect of it, the training, that you have to be failing in your training to actually be able to get better in your work. How have you guys been able to create an atmosphere where you guys have freshmen that are coming on board that you're saying like, yeah, hey, we're lighting this hack attack up, we're swinging hard. Yeah. You may only hit 1 out of 5. Like, how are you getting those freshmen to buy in and understand, or maybe even a transfer in that's a junior or something like that? How are you guys getting those guys to buy into that atmosphere and this culture?
Now, I need you to come talk to our guys because you're reiterating what I said last week about you won't need to fail in training so you're successful in the games and to get better. And that's one of the number one things that is tough for kids to understand, especially kids who've been really successful. It's even harder, I think, sometimes for the best players. Our best players probably get the most frustrated and mad off the pitching machines because they're used to always being successful. And now, man, I went 1 for 5. That's not good enough. And I'm like, but I got it set on 95 miles an hour. Like maybe that is, a good day. Who knows? So that is a work in progress. I'll tell you, last week we had a terrible week. I mean, we're not immune to having bad weeks. Our kids complained about the pitching machines. It was moving too much. It was too hard. All these things, and that happened. And we addressed it. And I told them, that's not good enough. If you've got a problem with it, let me know. If you think it's going to hurt you or something, if it's going to hit you, let me know or something like that. But as far as it being too hard, I don't want to hear that. And we need to fix it. And I had one of our leaders come up and apologize the next day because it's contagious. We figured out, and everybody knows this. The first cage, what happened that day? They came and told the second cage, it's running a 2-seam in. You're not going to hit it. If you do hit it, it's going to hit in your leg. Well, everybody was scared to death. Well, we just wasted our time because everybody was so scared to get, and it didn't do that, but they thought it would. So the next we talked about it and said the same thing you did. We've got to fail in training to be successful in games. I want the practice harder than the games every time. Well, not every time, but most every time in the fall. Okay, the in season depends on the team. Do you need some confidence? Those kind of things. But yeah, you've got to be confident enough to get back in there. And I told him, you've got to adjust your idea of success based off what you're doing. Now, we don't accept failure, but if you expect to hit every ball, I had the spin ball 90 miles an hour with a slider and a changeup. If you expect to go 100% on that because you're used to easy BP, that's just not a realistic goal. And now you're frustrated the whole time. And now we're getting bad at bats and bad practice habits. So I think it just takes time. You have to preach it all the time. Now, luckily, we've been doing this for years, so our kids are starting. You're a freshman. When you're a freshman, you don't know. So you see the seniors up there, your best guys up there, then they figure out, okay, well, he just got out. It's okay, let's go compete. It's okay. This machine's going to be throwing harder than I'm used to. Or this Hack Attack's throwing top spin ground balls, and we can't catch it right now. We're going to catch it, just not yet. So I think it just takes time, for kids to get used to that. We are, like I said, 7 years into this process, and it continually changes. If I was starting out tomorrow at a new school that hasn't trained like this, I probably wouldn't go in the first day and put the machine on, 90, 95 and a slider. But our guys are now used to it, and we had an outstanding week this week. Our kids were awesome. They really, were focused this week, and I think they kind of readjusted. Hey, man, I know I'm going to miss the balls, but let me go again, and let me hit the next one. So I think really, yeah, you just have to train that, be excited for your guys when they are successful, but then also, let them understand, man, like yesterday, I said, you're getting 6 pitches off this 2-strike machine. You can strike out twice, 4 out of 6. So you got to put in play. And that was our goal. It wasn't 6 out of 6, which your best guys sometimes thinks that's the goal. Well, 6 out of 6. Well, we're all watching the World Series. I mean, that's not going to happen, at that level or any high level. You're going to strike out. You're going to get out. We all know that in baseball. So I think it's just a mindset you have to continually change. We have to harp on them all the time about it. And we've got a great group now. And even as good as they've been, last week it was just one thing went wrong. One kid said something and it just snowballed. But then this week, nobody said anything negative. They were asking, hey, what's the machine doing in a way to learn? Hey, what's throwing this right here? You got to do this. Just throwing a changeup that's dirty, but you can hit it if you do this. And then they were trying to learn instead of trying to instill fear and, well, you can't hit this. I hate when somebody says you can't hit this guy or you can't hit this machine. That's one of my pet peeves. Like, do not say that. Do not say that. Because then now nobody thinks they can hit it. So yeah, I think it just takes time, and you've got to stay on them now. Like I said, if you showed up to next Monday, it could be outstanding, but you could also hear our guys, start to complain, and we try to shut that off as quick as we can and readjust. And the machine was probably a little out of control, so I made some adjustments and moved the plate up and still increased the velocity without, getting balls all over the place. And they felt a little more confident. So you just got to keep adjusting. Now, next week, I'm going to make it more difficult because I heard our guys say, it was the machine was a lot easier today on the spin ball. So I'm like, well, it's supposed to be because we've seen it again. So now I've got to, amp it up because that's what I want to hear. So, yeah, that's kind of what you got to do. I think you just got to keep at them and, let them know it's okay to fail in training. There's a guy in Texas, I don't know how, a high school coach, I hear him talk on Twitter, and I think he talks at training in the jungle to prepare for the zoo or vice versa. Like I forgot how he says
Tiger Zoo Jungle. Zoo Jungle or Zoo Tiger Jungle Tiger. The difference between the two.
I get it. I get it confused which one's which, but I know what it means. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Is train differently, and then you get in the game, and now you're prepared for all this different stuff, and hopefully handle some failure. Less failure, hopefully, but yeah, I think it's just a process, man.
The idea that you said we don't accept failure, I say a lot, but then I add in we need to be able to understand it and understand why we're failing. Yeah. And that ties into what you were saying, that as long as we're learning, it's good. I've brought up the idea to some of my guys. If we were to take a calc test in 1 month, would you rather me give you 1+1 and 2+2 homework for the next month that you can get 100% on, but when it comes test time, we don't know? Or would you rather me give you calc homework for this next month? Not going to get 100. We're going to struggle, but you're going to be way more comfortable when you're taking the calc test because you've seen it. You know what it looks like. It's a little bit more familiar. That's
I may have to use that analogy next week. So I'm always looking for ways to get it across, but that's a great analogy there. So I may have to throw that in there next Monday.
Hey, whatever you need, baby. Whatever you need.
I'll give.
Last. I guess that did kind of Kai. So you brought up Kai Correa. I actually played for him at Northern Colorado.
Really?
Yeah. So
Nice.
before he joined up with the Indians in their minor league fielding department, he was with Northern Colorado. I was with him for a little bit out there. So a lot of my infield stuff I actually take from Kai. I do a weekly Glove Gods class with a gentleman that also has done camps, numerous camps with Kai. So a lot of the infield that we instill in that group, a lot of it comes from him. He does a great job.
Yeah, he's outstanding, man. I've heard him speak. We don't know each other, but of course I know him off. Anytime something happens that we're trying to learn something infield, I'll go to Twitter, find his profile, see if he's tweeted about it, search him, because I know him and Tucker. I think it's Tucker Frawley, or that was at Yale. They did a speech a few years ago, and it was just outstanding, man. The stuff. If you can go back and watch that, if anybody wants to watch that, the ABCA, it was outstanding on infield play. I mean, honestly, there's still much stuff he went over. I mean, we're behind, not even close to where we need to be once you hear him talk.
It's insane, the stuff that he's been able to do. And just looking into the little things, like you brought up the spin rate off of the bat, going from fungos to actual game, how different they are, which changes how much we go about it. And you were bringing up that one of your really good players, that when you first saying like, hey, we're not actually getting these types of ground balls in a game, for them to kind of like sit there and realize that, and to understand, like you said earlier, sometimes it's the players that are the best ones that struggle a little bit with failure, because their perspective, I think, of failure is different than others. For the really good player, failure is something that's super bad. And so when they encounter that during training, they're not doing well. They're a bad player right there. Where I feel the player that isn't as good and understands the process of learning and the development, I think their idea of failure is a little bit different, because they've experienced it a little bit more in game and understand that it's a little bit different in a training environment. And so just the things that he's been able to do with the infield like that, it's been pretty special. He's a really good guy. To kind of lean into that a little bit, do you have any other people on Twitter that you go to, any other YouTube channels, books, podcasts that you listen to, anybody that you would like to kind of give a little shout out to for the followers?
Man, I follow a lot of people on Twitter, but I don't, I try to find little tidbits like you do, I think, with everybody, anybody you can find. So Kai Correa is a great one. I follow Chad Longworth, all the driveline guys, Call Body. He doesn't put as much stuff out as self now than before when he went to MLB, but his people do, so I follow those guys for pitching. All their hitting coordinators, I don't even know all their names. I just follow all those guys. So I'm not a guy that just groupie of any one guy, I guess on Twitter. I hate to say this because I'm on a podcast, but I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. My assistant coach listens to them all the time. I've just never been able to get into them. When I cut grass, I listen to, music, and he's like, you need to listen to these podcasts. And I just haven't gotten into them as much. He's probably the guy to answer that question. But I would say, man, just follow as many different people on Twitter as you can, and different, perspectives, because, everybody has their way of doing things on, Twitter or wherever, but I'm a big Twitter guy, and I just like to see what other people do. And, everything I've told you today, I've basically stolen from somebody else and tweaked it to fit our program and compared it to somebody else and see if we need to make changes or add stuff or take away stuff. So, Yeah, man, I'm not here to plug anybody. I think there's so many good resources. I mean, Butch Chaffin from Cookeville, Tennessee, he's a high school coach, and man, he puts out some funny stuff and some good stuff. And he's more of an old school guy, probably. I would think, but there's some great guys in Alabama. Wes Brooks at Oxford High School puts out some great stuff. There's just so many guys who will share their information. Which is awesome as a baseball guy. You can just learn so much. So I'd say follow as many different viewpoints as you can. I try not to get in arguments or discussions on Twitter very often because it just always goes off the rails. So I just kind of bring in the information, research it, send it to my coaches, see if they, what we all think. Like right now we're looking, the big thing for us right now is shifting. We don't have the data that they do in pros, but we're looking into shifting more because there's a reason all the pros do it. So we're trying to gather some data on that and how much they shift, why they shift, when they shift. Of course, it works, or they wouldn't keep doing it all the teams, even though people only see when it doesn't work. So yeah, we're just pulling all kind of information. I mean, yesterday I was just searching, whatever I want to search. I was searching shift data for Major League Baseball and going through it. So, but yeah, so. I'm more of a Twitter guy than anything, probably. And if I find a video, I just go watch it. But really, driveline guys, we do a lot of the driveline stuff. Kai for infield, Tucker Frawley is great. I love following high school guys because it's relevant to me. Iowa, I think it's Iowa's analytics department, Iowa baseball. They're really good on the tech department side of it. As far as strength goes, we follow, we're big on Zach DeChant, I guess as you say it, out of TCU. Their baseball strength coach, movement over maxes. So we do a lot of his stuff, his books. Movement over max is kind of designed what we kind of do. We of course took it and tweaked it. So there's just so many good guys out there that I think you just got to be open minded. And when I started 14 years ago, we were teaching hit the top half of the ball. And if we hit a fly ball in a game or practice, we were mad. And, now I'm like the opposite of that, and so I think you've got to be able to evolve. And, I want to see data and why is this how it is? And, why is this why you're doing something? And if you can prove that to me, I'm definitely open-minded. But I think you have to be open-minded. There's a lot of guys yelling at the old guys, yelling at clouds about the shift and yelling about, all these different things. Well, let's figure out if it works and if it can help you win, then why would you not do that? Whether that, like I heard something, somebody hit a ball last night and it's former pro guys and they're like, well, that ball, he didn't do any launch angle in that home run. And I'm like, well, it had a launch angle, but yeah, so stuff like that. I'm like, come on. But there's so many people who I think are set in their ways. And I just think, if you're doing the same thing you were 10 years ago or thinking the same, it's probably time to reevaluate some things. And I've changed tremendously. I know in 13 years, but in looking back at what we were doing 5 years ago, our weight program was different. Our the way we train throwing, we used to throw a lot more. And we tweaked that down in what we do in terms of pull downs and the weighted ball sizes we use. And like drive on baseball does, they do something, they check it, they test it. Did it work? No. Okay, let's trash it. If it did, let's keep going. And that's kind of what we try to do. So I think just be open-minded, man. Follow as many people as you can on Twitter, podcast. Hopefully, I'll listen to some when we go into ABCA and stuff and watch some old videos. Try to get one or two things. If you get that, I think, if somebody can listen to this, hopefully find one thing, to help them out. I think that's a plus for you.
Are you bringing up the ex-MLB thing because you saw my kind of semi-rant last night? Or are you just pulling that out because that's what every baseball player that has a mind is thinking as well?
I'll be honest, I didn't see that. I don't know. I'm a Braves fan, so if you did it after it went downhill in a hurry, so I might have already tuned out baseball at that point. So I didn't see that, but I know you've got two groups of people: the guys yelling at the clouds about launch angle and and the shift, and it's ruining baseball and all this. So I didn't see it, but I'll have to go back and read it. And I guess I stole what you said last night, but I think I just don't understand one of these guys are so set and in acting like they hate the game. Like, it is what it is. Let's adjust and see if it works.
Oh, you didn't steal anybody's thought. You just said out loud what every baseball player with a mind is thinking. Alex Rodriguez, I have last week, and this was just reiterating. He literally said that someone has an anti-launch angle swing.
Oh, God.
I don't, like, I don't even know what that
Well,
means. I mean,
well,
does he
soon
not
as
hit the
someone
ball
says
then?
something, so as soon as someone says something about that, or you know, didn't have an exit velocity, like, okay, that's just a metric. I mean, nobody has a launch angle swing. Now we want to hit it. I mean, we've got strings in our cages that we're trying to hit, that, the poor man version, and then of course we have the Rapsodo as well. But we've got strings at certain degrees that we look. But we're not training a launch angle swing, but we just know. I mean, if you get the best results at a certain angle, why would you not try to train to hit it at that angle? So now, I don't want a guy hitting it at 40 degrees that weighs 112 pounds, but we never come in and say we're training launching. And we'll play teams in high school that know what we do because we tweet a lot out, and they'll give us heck about launch angle and exit velocity, and that's fine. I get it. So it's all fun and games. But, we just if you hit the ball harder, that's always a plus. So I don't know why you'd be mad at exit velocity. And if you hit the ball at the optimal angle, whatever you think that is based off data, then I mean, my guy hit a ball yesterday like 112 miles an hour, but it went like literally negative 40 to hit the ground. Right? I mean, that's not a plus. So like we got to if he'd have hit it in the air just a little, it'd have been out of there. So yeah, I think some of these people are just like A-Rod is not the best at I guess he's saying what he wants to say. So, and then of course it's confirmation bias to them. Like when they saw the guy last night beat the shift with a little, dinker to a second base, and then they're like, well, that's there you go right there. That's an anti-shift swing, and he didn't even have. I saw one tweet. It might have been A-Rod said they scored 3 runs and not even with high exit velocity. And I'm like, I mean, that's baseball though. That's going to happen, So anyway, I don't want to get off on that tangent. I guess you already did yesterday.
No, it's an everyday thing when I go on and I just listen to Alex Rodriguez saying these kinds of things to the people that are watching the World Series, trying to grow the game of baseball, and yet they're just absolutely like demising what everything has like been done the last little bit. Like all the teams that are in the postseason are the top home run or top slugging or top on base play. Like all the things that they're like nitpicking on, it is what it is.
Well, I read a good article. I don't know if you saw the article. It was a tweet, but then an article from Baseball America today, and it was basically saying, these people it was about the shift, but if all the Major League Baseball teams are doing something and these front office people have decided to do this with their job on the line, do you think they're wrong or you're wrong in your opinion that it's bad? These people are getting paid a lot of money to make these decisions. You may not like the looks of it, and that's totally your opinion. And, maybe they should ban the shift. That's irrelevant. But if the shift's there, it's clearly used for a reason. So, and it literally said in the article, do you think you're right and all 30 major league teams are incorrect? Like, that would seem odd for anybody, So it was a great article. I don't even know who wrote it, but I think that's where, if everybody's doing something and you're not, I mean, you're probably not correct in my opinion. But, who knows?
Just to add into a little bit of what you said earlier, so far I've done kind of a survey with a lot of my guys where I've asked, if you were the person fielding, would you rather field an absolute piss missile ground ball or would you rather field the rollover? And they go, well, the rollover.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would you rather get the line drive that's knuckling at you or the little kind of like me? Like, well, the little bleed. I go, okay. When you're catching a pop fly, would you rather get the one over the lights or are you just trying to get the little ball? And they're like, well, the little. I was like, you realize how you wanted all of the weak contact, soft hit results. Now, whether we're shooting for a ground ball or a line drive or a pop fly, whatever it is, if you hit it hard, it's better than if you don't. Yeah. And it's just that idea. But I don't want to keep you too long. It looks like we're kind of coming up to that time. I really appreciate you coming on. I apologize for the little issue that we had this morning, but being able to kind of schedule it.
Man, I appreciate you having me on, Connor. I hate you had to get up so early, and I was just sitting around. So hopefully you got some stuff accomplished, though. So,
Oh yeah.
but man, I appreciate you having me. Anytime you want me on, man, I'd love to come back. I enjoy talking baseball, and it's just what we do. And maybe you're right. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. It works for us, and our kids seem to enjoy the environment and atmosphere we have. So, but like I said, we're always making changes. If anybody has any ideas how to make it better, I'd love to know, and so we can continue to improve with our guys.
And that's the biggest thing, man, is just wanting to get better. It's not saying our way or your way or anyone else's way is the right way. It's just wanting to get better for the same reasons for the kids. So I appreciate it, man. And we're going to be having you on as much as I can have you on, because this was an amazing conversation.
Anytime, Connor, man. I appreciate it.